The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
Hi there, and welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Blast Doors. I'm David. This is Jesse. Jesse, how you doing, man? Good. I'm just excited that we're here for the first episode. It's finally happening. This is something that we've been wanting to do.
I'm a very avid reader, actually. That's something that I grew up with. I just read.
Yeah. We bow to Disney. Thank you, Disney. D23, we thank you.
I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in 9 because I'd love to see some Force Ghost action. But at the end of the day, we're never going to see what Mark and Colin wanted to do.
Right. Did you just crouch down so you could fit better their frame?
Yeah, I keep hitting the ceiling here.
We're in Chicago territory, and I'm wearing a St. Louis Cardinals hat, so I'm wondering how this is going to pan out for me and my experience. I'm probably going to get punched in the face a few times. We can celebrate this Life Day together. That's right. We're going to celebrate Life Day 365 with Arzu.
Every day is Life Day. Every day is Life Day here.
Scotty, sometimes you have to understand our decisions have consequences, and usually the bad ones involve you. Hey, we're going to have a lot of fun. So as you can see, we've had a lot of laughs. We've changed our look quite a bit. We've had friends come and go, but tonight we're all here together to celebrate 100 episodes of Beyond the Blast Doors. We don't know what's next. We just know in this moment, we want to celebrate friendship. We want to celebrate Star Wars. We want to celebrate this community. Beyond the Blast Doors Live starts right now.
From the farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest, you're watching Beyond the Blast Doors live.
That's right, BTBD Live, episode 100. It is a reality, and it doesn't happen without you wonderful people. You can always watch Beyond the Blast Doors every Wednesday night, live on YouTube, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It doesn't happen with some key people. And so some of those key people may include, I don't know, let's say Arzu Amin and Pete Fletzer. How's everybody doing today, baby?
Woo, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, congratulations, 100 episodes. Holy cow, they said it wouldn't last. Look at you.
Well,
Look at you.
Well, I don't know who said it wouldn't last. I think that I thought it would last maybe
That's
100
the generic
episodes.
phrase, yeah.
I didn't know who would be watching 100 episodes in.
Well.
But hey, we're here. We have an incredible show for you, and thank you for allowing me to self-indulge in the past to open the show up. But I wanted to show that we've come a long way here. I mean, I don't want to be too selfish here, but if you're watching, if honestly at this point, if you just listen to us on the podcast, you're really missing out. But if would you look at this shot? I have never looked more beautiful.
This is true.
I'm just saying, new cameras go a long way. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. We're here together. We're having a moment together. It's Mr. Pete Fletzer. He had his own article in the mid-90s. He was at the premiere of Phantom Menace. He was there to witness the cluster that it was, but then live long enough to see how fans actually feel about it, which is we like it a lot. Pete, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. What is it? What's the line from Batman? You die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. I don't know if that has to do with anything, but yeah. So hey man, I'm great. I'm very happy for you having done this for 100 episodes. It's pretty wild, and I'm very excited to be a part of the show now. All these. What was it? 25 years? Is that what it is? How many years has it been?
Yeah, it feels like that. I wake up now. I have arthritis in my joints.
Yeah, no, that's me. That's me.
Role reversal tonight. And we also have Arzu Amin, an aspiring TV writer. This woman is a genius, and we're glad that she's part of our conversation every week. Arzu, how was your Wednesday?
My Wednesday was long. My Wednesday was very long.
That's
But
forgive me in advance. That is
glad
literally what she said.
Oh, dear
All
Lord.
right, there we go. Okay. Well, hey, I don't know. I thought it, and I didn't know who else did. So there we go. I'm just so excited to be doing this. For the next hour, we're going to have a lot of surprises. So we're talking The Mandalorian. We're talking about the Disney stockholder call or investors call that's happening tomorrow that could or could not be really fantastic. It could be like the Monday Night Football teaser of Mandalorian season 2, right? Where it's trash. Or it could be the best thing ever. So we're going to get into that. And also we got some friends with us. They're going to pop in here over the course of the next hour or so with us so we can have a really good time. Live chat. Freaking out right now. We've already got 20 plus people with us across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We got Sam Carey. We got Scotty J. Rowe. Jesse's hanging out in the live chat. one of the, I guess you could say, founders of the show.
Yeah.
We got Matthew. Who else do we got in here? Nick Melky. We got Andy. We got Steve. This is great. We got Gilster. We got, what are you drinking, Pete? I'm distracted by the alcohol beverage.
Sorry. I'm drinking Angel's Envy, and there's just not enough in my house right now to be drinking. So
Don't
it's a good start. It's a good start.
Sometimes life hurts so much and you have to drink. The list goes on and on. It's really cool. Galanorian Saber, JD is with us. Apprentice Ewok. Just the list goes on and on and on. Cool to see a mix of like people who've been with us for a really long time and then some newer faces, which is going to be really fun. John Boffman in the live chat as well, Patreon supporter. So let's freaking go. Scotty J-Ro. This is how we're starting episode 100. David Docking Ding Dongs. Great. Glad we can maintain a level of professionalism here. Jesus Christ. All right, let's do it. Mandalorian, chapter 14. This episode slapped. I think the kids call it a banger. This was ridiculous. In this episode, we see Tython. Mando and Grogu at Tython. Yeah, you might remember a prediction on the show made by yours truly that said that we want to get there until the end of the season. Wrong-o. So we get to Tython. We get to see Slave One fly. We get to see Dark Troopers. Boba's back. Oh, Moff Gideon is like playing with this dark saber with the child. It was nuts. This episode was freaking redonkulous, and we're talking about it right now. Listen, here's where I want to start with, and it's the cliffhanger at the end. Where the hell are we going in chapter 15? Because we saw Grogu and Moff Gideon blast off into hyperspace. Pete, you're slinging the drinks. Now sling me some takes.
Yeah, it's I don't, like you said, none of us expected to see Tython in the next episode. Well, not none of us, but I certainly didn't either. I expected it would take a while to get there. I wasn't even sure if they were going to get there at all this season. So to see that happen, the cliffhanger, I think that's the amazing thing about the show. And it's really funny because if you remember, we talked a lot about in the months leading up to the season that we were going to, what's left to be surprising. We already know Bo-Katan's coming, and we know that Ahsoka is going to be in the show. What could they possibly surprise us with? Every week, it's another surprise, and every week the show. I think we even said a little bit last week. Oh, we expect a little bit of a slowdown in this upcoming week, but we sure didn't get it. So I don't know where it's going to go. We have 2 more episodes, and just doesn't seem like it's enough time either. So
good thing they're giving us 2 more seasons. At least that's what we think we're getting. We know at least season 3 is happening. Season 4. Moff Gideon let that slip on Good Morning America. Hey, Arzu, you have a theory. Let's hear
theory
it.
about where we're going.
Let's do it.
I think we're going to Camino.
Whoa.
Here's why. Dr.
Whoa.
Pershing with the Kaminoan crest on his jacket, and they said to call him. So he's probably back on Camino. 1. 2, because how interesting would it be if we took Boba Fett back to Camino?
Whoa.
To try to rescue
I
the
like
child.
that.
So, and there's been more and more prequel era love in The Mandalorian as things progress. So I think we're going to Camino.
I like the theory a lot, and it would make a lot of sense, right? Because we got to get back to the lab in order to do the whole testing on Grogu, which has been basically teased since season 1. So I can roll with that. I think that makes it. Here's the thing, though. Are we going back to, what is it called? Topeka City? What was the capital city in Camino?
What was that called?
I guess it doesn't matter, but I guess, is it going to be like Camino that we've already seen? And I guess my question is,
it'll run down now because the Jedi aren't bankrolling this anymore.
That's interesting.
The Jedi / the Senate. So it's like run down, but they're still trying to use it. But I don't know.
I love that take, and I love this super chat we're getting. $20 from Nerd Academy Podcast. Congrats to all our BTB pals on both 100 episodes and the amazing toy drive. May the force be with you. That's right. More than 130 Star Wars gifts, right, Pete?
Yeah, we ended up at, we still have a couple days left where we expect things to come in. We're at about 150 toys. It's pretty wild. So thank you to everybody there. Really, really cool, amazing community that we're a part of.
That's awesome. And Nerd Academy, thank you again for that super chat. It means the world. I don't know what Camino would look like on this budget. I guess that's my concern with going to a planet that we're familiar with. I say all that. Listen, the worlds look beautiful. The landscapes look great so far in Mandalorian. And I can tell you, every time I see a ship fly on screen in season 2, it looks a hell of a lot better than it did in season 1. So maybe I'm having fears that should not exist. And that's fine. The child can utilize the Force in chapter 14 in ways we've never seen Grogu use the Force. So
Yeah.
my question is, who or what did Grogu see when he was on the Seeing Stone on Tython? I want to start with Arzu on this. Arzu,
Maybe
who or what did we see?
I don't know if it's because of the Seeing Stone and more like because of his conversation with Ahsoka. Because like in Jedi Fallen Order, as Cal I know this is meant to teach you skills in the game, and that's why they do it this way. But it's canon now. So as Cal is remembering things, like his skills start to come back to him. So maybe him tapping into his memories with Ahsoka, things he learned over his X amount of time at the temple is starting to come back to him, like lifting people and throwing them around with the Force.
Do we feel like it has to be an Ezra, or because I know you just said your theory, but like, does it have to be that
Somebody we know?
and that deep of a cut, right? Because I'm thinking about the casual fan. I think that's why I buy so much into Luke Skywalker.
But the thing is, we've already had like Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. So I know Ahsoka's bigger but like Bo-Katan, like Ezra, I would say is about as deep a cut as Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
I can.
And
can
we've
go
already
with that.
had Bo-Katan. So you can set Ezra up. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that there's a lot of fans. I think there's a lot of fans that are hoping that we see Ezra because we've name dropped Thrawn, we've seen Ahsoka, and we've heard Bo-Katan. And so we're thinking that all of these elements must mean Ezra is coming. I almost want to think that if Ezra is to come in live action in the next 5 years, that will happen in another show. Because you just cannot drop, I guess you can in theory drop all of these constant cameos and references to other series. We're going to talk about it in about 5 minutes. There is speculation, big, expansive announcements are coming for Star Wars tomorrow on that investor call. I digress. Pete, who do you think you saw, or Grogu saw on the Seeing Stone? Maybe he saw Pete Fletcher flexing.
Yeah, well, that was going to be what I was going to say, but no. But seriously, I think it's it's interesting because we talk a lot about bringing Bo-Katan back, bringing Ahsoka into it is a big deal. It is for the deep cut fans, the fans like ourselves who watch and obsess and know more about Star Wars than we do about our own real world. But I think, based on the interview that I refer to it again, the interview I did with my dad, who's a Star Wars fan, but not as deep a cut. He doesn't know who Bo-Katan is. He doesn't know who Ahsoka is, and he doesn't care because it's a cool story, which leads me to, will it be somebody like a Luke or a Mace Windu or somebody like that? I would love for it to be, I was not on the Mace Windu train until I really gave it some thought, because bringing in Mace would really set up a very unique dynamic. It would bring in a dynamic of first of all, a familiar Star Wars character to the average fan, somebody who's seen all 9 movies in the theater, all 9 saga movies. Number 2, it sets up a really interesting dynamic between Boba Fett and Mace Windu. Boba Fett, like sort of an anti-Maul, has probably been driven by this revenge for to get his revenge on the man who killed his father. But then you also have Din, who now it would not be sure what side to be on, and so I think that adds a really interesting layer to it. So I think it could be somebody like that. My hope is that it's somebody we don't know, and I think that the question then becomes, the bigger question is this story about the Mandalorian, or is it the story about Grogu? If it's the story about Grogu, it doesn't really matter who the Jedi is, and he can take him and he can go, and it probably makes it more likely that it's a famous character to take him and his story. If it's a story about Din, the Mandalorian, then it could be it may have an impact on who this guy is. I'm not answering the question because I really, honestly, it's the first time I don't know, but I'm buying into the Mace Windu thought.
Yo, and I'm with you. And I posted this on Twitter. You can always follow us on Twitter at BTBD Star Wars. It was the fact that who would not want to see a Mace Windu that survives getting electrocuted and having that fall? Like, I understand the complexity, not the complexity, maybe it's the lack thereof, of how everyone who dies seems to have a way to come back.
Right.
But what if Mace never died? And that was a fan theory going back to 2005. A lot of people were like, he might have survived that fall.
Right.
Arzu, what do you think about that? Because Mace Windu is a lot of fun, but it also is this recurring theme of no one's really
somehow Mace Windu returned. That's what it is. Like, I like Mace Windu, but if we bring him back, death doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, part of what spurs Anakin's sort of
we brought Palpatine back
tipping over that edge into the dark side is
brought Ben
he
back.
killed a Jedi, well, not killed, aided
brought
in the
Boba
killing
back.
of a Jedi Master. What?
I'm just being honorary.
Oh, so he aids in the killing of like a Jedi Master and then tips over into being Darth Vader. So if that never happened, that lessens that to an extent. And like I don't know, like death no longer means anything. Like Vader picks up Palpatine to save his son, throws him down a shaft that blows up 5 seconds later, but somehow Palpatine returns. Mace Windu fell out of a 5,000 story window, and somehow Mace Windu returns. Like it's meaningless now. If that's
Who
what happens.
wants to live forever?
I want to comment, Jared. Thank you so much for the super chat here, and I like where you're going with this. He says if we do get a Jedi, I'm okay with anyone but Mace, but deep down I don't want any Jedi to come. Because Grogu made the choice to stay with Papa Din. I think that's a real possibility. I like the thought of maybe he did reach out to somebody and make contact and make the decision to stay, to make the decision to not want to become a Jedi after everything he's learned or everything he's seen. And he's getting this love from another being for the first time in his life. I mean, they set that up very carefully at the very beginning of this episode. You definitely saw that father-son relationship. You saw that playfulness. You heard Din laugh for the first time. And look, as a father myself, when he goes Dank Farrik and the kid thinks he's upset at him, and he's like, no, I'm just like impressed. Like that's a real moment, and I can't see how Grogu can choose anything but the Mandalorian at this stage.
So we're kind of curious. We want to know what you think. Who or what did Grogu see when he sat there on the Sing Stone on Tython? Let us know in the live chat. We'll shout you up a couple of minutes. Hey, we've spent all this time talking about that show. And again, what does it mean? What does it mean for Boba's return to Star Wars and in live action? And if you don't mind, I just want to throw this out there. For me personally, it feels like it showcases the power of this franchise for existing for 40 plus years. Is you have an opportunity to bring a minor character from, Empire Strikes Back, and you see his face again as Jango Fett, right? In 2002's Attack of the Clones, and now in 2020. You can bring back Tamora Morrison to reprise the guy in the 1980 film that he didn't freaking do originally. But now there's like this straight connective tissue. And I think it's freaking genius. And that's why I love Star Wars, because it lasts so long. You have this potential. And I'm going to be that person. And I respect where anyone stands. I'll never tell you you're wrong about how you feel about a certain thing. But this is where I think that Disney and the storytellers messed up with not giving Star Wars just one more chance to see Leia, Luke, and Han go on a journey as Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford. Again, I'm not here complaining. I went and saw The Force Awakens 5, 6, 7 times. I saw The Last Jedi 4 times. I saw Rise of Skywalker 3 times. Like, I gave them my money. I still had fun. I'm not crying. But this is the missed opportunity. Is look how fans are rejoicing over a character that got 2.5 minutes of screen time in 1980. Look at the joy that fans are sharing on social media, on the phones with friends and family. It's redonkulous. Can you imagine like the fervor of the fandom? If you got to see the original 3 do it one more time, there was an opportunity to do it. And the storytellers decided not to do that, for better or for worse. For me, for worse. For you, maybe it worked for better. That's my rant. And I'm sticking to it. Because, damn it, I should get one once in a while. It's episode 100. How do you guys react to that? Arzu, am I in trouble?
Okay. So, not going to tell you how to feel, but...
Thank you.
Here's the thing. Boba Fett got 2 minutes of screen time. So, and this is from somebody who did not like Boba Fett until 7:35 a.m. on Friday. So, like...
Welcome to the good side. Welcome to the good side.
But the thing about Luke, Leia, and Han is they had 3 movies together. Not 2 minutes together, right? So you make a movie about 3 people that a bunch of people like who are now in their 50s going on another adventure. That's awesome for the people who are already invested. You are not getting new fans that way. Like the people who saw the movies back in the 70s and 80s had a story told for them and it pulled them in. The kids who saw the prequels and were pulled in that way. Those were movies for them, which is why the older fans didn't like them, because it wasn't tailored for them. It was tailored to bring somebody like a new group in. And if you like it, great. So the sequels were made for this generation to bring them in. And if you sit there telling a story about 3 old people who might be older than the parents of the people watching, who they do not care about, you're not bringing in anybody new. You're just telling the same stories for the same people, and the community gets more insular. So that's why I disagree. It's just that if it was just stories about older characters that had 3 full movies and 3 full arcs, I don't think it would have been met with the same fervor as Boba Fett, because it's exciting because Boba Fett only had 2 minutes, and because, for some people they're like, he's the badass I always knew he was, look. And then for people like me, it's like, oh, finally, now I see what you're all talking about. Now I see why you think he's a badass. Because this isn't rehashing something we've seen already. This is expanding an arc Boba Fett never got. Because Boba Fett was only ever a badass because people told me he was a badass. I'm like, but this is a visual medium, show, don't tell.
Well,
like, all I see of Boba Fett is him accidentally falling into the Sarlacc when Han Solo bumps into him. Like, that to me is not a badass.
It was a shove.
Whatever. Han was
hit him with the
smart. He
gaffy
wasn't doing
stick
it on purpose. But this guy with the gaffy stick, like shattering stormtrooper helmets, I'm like, okay, this is the badass I was promised and never got. Now I see it.
I respect your take. I love the passion. Episode 100, Beyond the Blast Doors live. We're in this moment together. I love you. Pete Fletzer.
Yeah.
We made a promise to each other that we're not going to just talk about how great Boba Fett is.
Right.
I went on a rant. I preached, damn it. I got on the pulpit.
Hey, man, you got your thing. That's cool.
Arzu
needed to.
got on the pulpit. She preached too, to a different crowd. That's okay. Pete Fletzer, I want to know, what does it mean to you when you see Boba Fett smashing stormtrooper helmets and that slave won? How do you feel?
So
on the inside,
yeah, deep down, I feel joy. No, so
do you really? Give me it. Come on.
I do. So here's where I come down on that, and I love Arzu's perspective. I love your perspective too, Dave. I think if they had made the decision in 1999 to make episode 7, 8, and 9 and got a younger Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and extended the story at that point, it might have been a different story. But most importantly, so here's why I think Boba Fett coming back is important. It's important for Star Wars lore in so many ways, and I think the biggest thing to me is what it's done is it's taken what we've now seen is we've seen what now if you take the 3 Mandalorians we met on the water planet and we take Boba Fett, we've now seen Din meet 4 Mandalorians with slightly different perspective on everything than he has, which is really important because it expands what it means to be a Mandalorian. Number 2, I think it allows us to take a different take on what it means to be a bounty hunter, what it means to be a Mandalorian, and what it means to be sort of the central figure of the story. So I foresee my vision, which is, again, I am wrong 98.7% of the time on predictions, but we will see the Bo-Katan, we will see Boba Fett, and we will see Din Djarin fighting alongside each other for possession of the Darksaber from Gideon. That is a huge story. What that does is, though, more importantly, is it actually brings to life this backstory of Mandalore that we have grown to really love that came from the Clone Wars. I mean, of all the Clone Wars arcs, the ones that people always go back to is the Mandalorian stories. And so now to really bring that to life is absolutely critical to expanding Star Wars. And so where am I going with this other than to say that by bringing that Boba Fett perspective on what it means to be Mandalorian is huge. A lot of people were complaining on social media that Jango was never a Mandalorian. George said that. Well, we just got a new version of that story. The fact that that Jango was a foundling changes what it means to be a Mandalorian, and also it changes what it means to be a Skywalker, right? And it continues the story of, and the theme that we've seen in Star Wars over the last several years is you are who you choose to be. And so Din is going to have to choose what kind of a Mandalorian he wants to be. Rey chose to be a Skywalker, and that is cool. That is great. And what will Din choose to be? And what does it mean to be a father? What does it mean to be a Mandalorian of the old creed or the new?
Hell yeah, dude. That is everything. And you're right. especially about the narrative of you have control of your situation, your story. You get to tell your own story, which is, I think, a really inspiring message. I'm right there with you.
Well, think about that. I mean, Star Wars, the first 3 movies were all about destiny, right? I mean, Darth Vader constantly talking about it's your destiny, right? And so it originally Star Wars was a story about, okay, this is my predetermined path. And then the prequels kind of doubled down on that and said, hey, this is where you're going. You've had this vision of wherever, of Padme dying. You've had this, so you're just destined to do whatever you have to do that. You took the sequels, and the things that some people liked and didn't like about it was that it really was about your family is your chosen family. And now Din has to make that same decision. And also, again, we mentioned it moments ago, Grogu made a decision perhaps, and we don't know what that is.
I freaking love it. Also, this is not a hot take. I hate when people say hot take, and I'll try not to do this again. Arzu, buy or sell the silver color knob. See what I did there for you, Pete?
Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent band.
Silver color knob is part of Grogu's hilt if he gets a lightsaber in The Mandalorian.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that.
I'm in for that.
Can you imagine? Which, I'm not trying to be like that guy who's like every little thing is a throwback, but it would be a little bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 1 action there at the bottom.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
That'd be fun, right?
Make that happen. Let's make a lightsaber happen.
It means something to Grogu, so that would be
like
Rey's saber at the end of the Rise of Skywalker. It means something to her. So
okay, here's another thing too. We're seeing shit blow up. Like rip the Razor Crest. Everyone who spent $350 on the HasLab project, like I feel bad. I feel really bad.
I've never laughed so hard in my life,
dude.
Oh, dude, so sad.
Josh bought 3 of those Razor Crests.
He bought 3.
He bought 3.
Did he really?
Yes.
No.
He bought 3.
And I think one of them for me.
I hope for me. Isn't that? I feel bad for those people. And then on top of that, so you get the Razor Crest Zap, which I'm bummed out because originally that was a ship that grew on me very quickly. I was like, this looks like a piece of shit. And then I was like, oh wow, this is actually a really dope vessel. This is great. We lost though his rifle, which to me was the bigger loss. Yeah. And then Hasbro comes out and drops that Nerf for like $120. You can get a Nerf gun. That is a single shot Mando's rifle. And I'm like, Hasbro, we're a little late here on the rollout. Like we've done 6 weeks of Mando Mondays. Right. You might want to drop this on the first one. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's funny how, that is one thing that's been really interesting. And we've said it a couple times, and I've heard other people say it as well, is you do have to give props to Disney in not selling out merchandise over story, right? I mean, they missed an entire holiday season of the child merchandise simply so that we could have that most amazing surprise we had in episode 1. They got us all to buy Razor Crest stuff. I haven't finished my Lego yet, and I just can't bring myself to finish it. I feel like I've lost a friend.
It's complete now.
Yeah, it's true. I should just drop it on the floor and it's done.
Can I just say, I'm not making fun of people who back the HasLab. I just thought it was so funny that everyone was so excited about buying a model of this ship. And then right as the fundraiser ended, it blew up.
Yeah.
Like the timing.
To that point, though, at least, Jabba's barge was another very, very big HasLab project. And that didn't even make it out of the 20 minutes of the film it was in. So to that point, it's a Star Wars. It's a Star Wars toy that it's a project that died. Pete, hey, they have Death Star play sets. So
Pete, Arzu, there is a Mon Calamari technician in a blue Navy sweater that seems to really know how to patch things up.
That's right.
This seems like a bit of a challenge.
That good.
This seems like a bit of a challenge.
Nobody's
go
that
for
good.
Put all the pieces in a bag, bring it back down to whatever Trask, and have it put back together.
At that point, if I'm the Mando at that point, like if I'm in Star Wars, you get to ask this question. If you were in Star Wars for a day, what would happen? What would you do? What would happen? That my ship gets blown up. I'm making ash angels in the rubble, and I'm just bathing in it because I'm just like, well, it's gonna be over soon. Listen, you just got to roll with it. Mando maybe gets Slave 1. I hope we're not bringing Boba back just to kill him off so we can use his ride. People are going for it though.
It's an interesting possibility. Look, somebody is going to die in the next 2 episodes. Maybe more than one person, more than one character. We didn't even mention Fennec Shand. I was so excited to see her back. We said it. We did say it on the Friday night show, and I think you said it on the Friday morning show. And I think I'm going to say it here again. I urge everybody to skip the previously on section of the show, because think about how much more exciting it would have been sure, we were pretty sure Boba was going to come back when we saw that. We were pretty sure Fennec Shand was going to come back. But imagine if you didn't see that. I mean, we knew it was so telegraphed that Fennec was there. But some of the best shooting in that episode was my favorite. One of my favorite scenes is the one where Fennec jumps off the rock backwards and fires at a stormtrooper, lands on her back and blows him away. Just beautifully done, and great to have her back. But who's going to die? And we're obviously bringing everybody back together for these last two, including Bill Burr. So
yeah,
we're gonna have a full on cast. A couple will die.
Well, and I think what's so interesting too, Robert Rodriguez did an interview with Collider, and he was talking about how the script was only 19 pages. And so he had to add an additional battle scene to make this episode a little bit longer, and which was just fascinating in itself to learn how, he says a 19-page script, basically a page is a minute, and he cuts really fast. So it would have only been like 16 minutes. So think about that. Like, he really did expand the story that they had slated for this episode, but it's kind of like a Star Wars fan's dream. I mean, think about all the action figures you got to play with in this episode. Yeah. Boba Fett, the Slave One, Grogu, the Mandalorian. You get Fennec. You get Stormtroopers. You get Dark Troopers. You get the transports. You get a light freighter. You get Moff Gideon. You get that female Imperial officer who just reeks of sex. See, she is so so dark and broody and like badass. And I just want to be her friend. Don't know who she is, but she's a badass, and I hope she's in every episode with the Empire. I just, oh my gosh, it's such a cool episode. There's more Mando we want to talk. Let's save that for later. We're gonna bring some friends on here in a little bit, so we can do that talk. Real quick, we'll go ahead and give our speculation on this because it's kind of a big deal. December 10th, it's a Thursday. Star Wars could get some big news tomorrow. It's the Investor Day. Bob Iger is going to be on this call, and it's one of his last ones, right? And we're potentially going to be getting some big news on Star Wars. The report is, if you believe it, this is rumor. This is not fact, but it's rumor. There's going to be a big expanse on the Star Wars story, particularly on streaming. Something we've been calling this on Beyond the Blast Doors Live is the Star Wars streaming universe, where it's the MCU equivalent for Star Wars. And the rumor is that gets announced tomorrow. Wild. Blows me away. I think there's two parts to this conversation. So let's start with film, because we have not talked about film in a long time. In fact, we were supposed to lead with this topic because we hadn't talked about film for so long on Star Wars. But it's episode 100 of Beyond the Blast Doors Live, and we just decide, screw the formalities. So
do what you want to do.
You know what? L'chaim. It's Diet Coke, friends. I just took a big swig out of a can. I want everyone to be. It's no sugar, no calories. Arzu, I want to know from you, because there are like 17 different movies that are in development. As far as movie news tomorrow, what do you anticipate being the most realistic that we learn about?
Realistically, a couple of things. I think we are going to hear more about Taika's project and Leslie's project. And I feel like, this is maybe me just wishful thinking, that we will hear whether or not Rian Johnson's trilogy is going ahead.
Oh,
it's kind of been in limbo.
Yeah.
So they might announce that it's going ahead, I hope. But that's what I think is, it's mostly going to be the stuff we already know. Because, for movies, even for the TV side, just because we are all very plugged in, but the investors may not be, people running like articles in the New York Times may not be as plugged in as we are. So I think when they're talking wide expansion, this is like for the general public. So I think this is all stuff we know already.
I think that's really interesting. And the Rian Johnson thing really excites me too, because I like Rian Johnson doing Star Wars. There's a few things that I wasn't thrilled about, but like overall, I think like that is a project that could still be success. And don't tell me that Rian Johnson can't tell good story, because there was good story in The Last Jedi. I think that it's like sandwich. I think there's a really good story over here and a really good story over here. Knives Out is freaking gold. And I think that I think because Knives Out was so successful, and because we know that there's a sequel in development, I don't think that Ryan Johnson would be announced tomorrow. I think it is more likely that gets held on for another year.
Well, I think they're just saying like whether or not they're still doing that, but like, that would be down the line.
And
So
I'm okay with that.
I'll piggyback off of what Arzu was saying, but from a slightly different direction. Again, keeping in mind that the quote unquote rumored expansion or expansive, how do they put it? Expansive additions to the Star Wars universe or something like that will come. Keep in mind, again, those of us watching this show, those of us who talk on a daily basis, those of us who are on Twitter way more than we should be, to us, it would mean something to hear more. But think about, again, the average person. I like what you said, Dave, the investors, right? If they hear about a Cassian Andor series, the fact that Kenobi is starting to shoot in January, they hear about The Bad Batch, and then they hear maybe about one movie, whether it's Taika's or whether it's Leslie Headland's. That's 4 projects. That to the New York Times and the average person is an expansion of the Star Wars universe, a massive expansion. So here's my prediction. I think those of us who are here right now are going to be much like the trailer we saw on Monday Night Football for The Mandalorian. We're going to feel let down because there's going to be stuff we already know. But again, I go back to my dad. Does my dad know what The Bad Batch is? Nope. Will he care? Maybe. He'll just know that it's more Star Wars coming. And so if they announce 4 new Star Wars projects, that won't be news to us. It's news to the rest of the world, and investors will care about that.
I think it's really interesting. The live chat right now is freaking out. They want a Ryan Johnson trilogy. Some want him just to direct, some want him to write, some want both. I think it's really interesting. Here's my take. You got Kevin Feige on a project. You got Taika Waititi on a project. We know about this. I think it's realistic that we get some details on that project. Is it safe to assume that they're working on the same project? Probably not. But it would make a lot of sense, right? Because the MCU relationship there, remember what he did for the MCU? So you're starting to see these players come over to the Star Wars side and play that were over on the Marvel side for the last 10 years. Pete, you're totally right. They can come out and they could say it's one more series of streaming something.
Yeah.
And here's 3 movies.
It's also, we have Kenobi is about to start filming. Cassian just started filming. There's a rumored High Republic series. We know all this, but I don't. They're probably going to confirm it for the investors that this is what's in the pipeline for the next couple of years. So I don't think we're going to get as much news as we think we are.
Right. And here's my hot take. I think Feige's already involved. And I think if you look at the way The Mandalorian has played out in sort of setting up things and in setting up, look, I don't think that we're not going to see Thrawn in The Mandalorian. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be however they tell the Ahsoka story. I think that's going to happen somewhere else. So I think my hot take is Feige's already involved saying, okay, guys, here's how we map things out. Here's how it's done. Here's how we did the MCU. And here's the blueprint and go do it. And I don't think he's going to get a film. I think he's working to make sure that all the stories work together. I don't think that Kathleen Kennedy and the Star Wars guys are unaware and willfully ignorant that the sequel trilogy didn't work as well as it could have from a story perspective, because they took that risk of doing one story, then another and hope it worked. That doesn't work to tell a story in today's way of telling stories.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. And the live chat is having a blast with this. Jared, I mean, at this point, you're going to have to take out a student loan, which is probably a good move because that'll be forgiven hopefully in a month and a half. If Ryan Johnson trilogy is announced, my Last Jedi Loving Heart is going to explode. You know what? I hope it happens, and I hope it explodes, and then I hope someone's able to resuscitate you. But I let's do it. Let's freaking go. Here's my thing. Streaming Star Wars has rejuvenated some fervor in my soul. And I know we're getting we know that we're getting Kenobi. Production starts in January. That's been moved up. But I want to see this streaming universe in Star Wars actually happen. I want some crossover. I want Thrawn to be the Thanos. And I want that Heir of the Empire trilogy, that original Timothy Zahn story, to be this universe, and we play in it for a few years. It could be really fun.
There's a whole different Thrawn story now.
Well, there's some elements that you can still utilize.
You can use elements, but I don't think they can bring that back. Not with the new Thrawn they've got.
Well, I'm gonna hope for it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to this telling somebody Santa's not real. I'm sorry, David.
Santa's not. So
I
that's
think
funny
it's
too.
like telling someone Santa's not real.
I think the best use of the meme, and I'm selfish, and only 9 other people agreed with me because only 9 other people like this tweet. But when the Razor Crest gets blown up, that what you feel like when your parents tell you that Santa's not real, and then boom, the Razor Crest gets destroyed.
I thought that was funny. That was clever.
Yeah, you were one of the 9. I appreciate it. Comic Bricks, I'm not hyping myself up. Everything has been leaked, so I don't think we're going to hear anything new. You know what? I think it's probably the best to keep a level head. Hey, we are 40 minutes into Beyond the Blast Doors Live.
How did that
episode
happen?
100. We're so happy that you're with us. We're having an absolute blast. We're going to keep talking about these topics more, but we got something that I'm going to bring on the show real quick. And Pete Arzu, I'm actually going to keep you here on screen. I think it's okay to do this. I don't see why not to do this. I think it's really important that we all welcome Marie Wilson of BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. Marie, how we doing?
Hey, doing great.
Here's the thing. Oh my God, it's like Pete's chin is resting on the lower third. Here's the thing. We got a new Star Wars comic out this week. Number 7, right? Star Wars number 9. Number 9. And we're coming down to the end of the year. And here's the thing. The 4 people on this show right now have all varying interests of Star Wars comics. I really enjoy them. Arzu dabbles in them. And Pete reads once in a while.
I will put it this way. I am so glad Marie does what she does because that saves me from having to read them. So thank you very much.
and that's why we have Marie. I will say this. I can't pull it up, but I know Apprentice Ewok. Here we go. Apprentice Ewok is watching. And so I want everyone to hear this. He was really sweet. And he tweeted at the network, myself, and Marie today. Mm-hmm. He has invested in like 2 or 3 different comic lines because of Beyond the Panel. And I think that is so cool that the conversation we're having here is inspiring folks to get involved in the comic world of Star Wars, because there's a lot of fun adventure. There's some weird stuff. Like Screaming Citadel is still a flaming dumpster fire of a story, but it's cool because it happened and I returned the comic. Anyways, so let's do this. I did. I kept it. You can't return comics. It's like a germ thing. But it made good kindling. Hey, so real quick, while we're here, Star Wars 9, if no one's reading this main line from Charles Soule, Marie, what is happening in this series right now that would excite the casual fan?
So right now we just started a brand new arc, Operation Starlight, which is going to connect somehow to the High Republic. And this issue was more of a setup issue. We got some C-3PO action, so that was exciting for me. So they find this ancient droid in the Imperial Museum on Coruscant, and it knows this ancient language that's like ultrasonic sounds and clicks and weird stuff. And they're going to use that the rebels are going to use that as their way to come up with a code that the Imperials cannot crack.
So you know what I love about this? This is so cool to me, because you can go places that maybe you don't get to in live action. Like Pete and I, we like to talk about how much fun it would be to go to a Coruscant, or Arzu mentioned earlier that we think we're going to go to Kamino in The Mandalorian. The cool thing about comics is we're going to these places all the time. And to play in like the Sith ruins, to play in the ruins of Coruscant, and to be able to that's how the rebels communicate. Again, remember, this series is taking place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So this is a time on the Star Wars canon timeline we haven't really dabbled with a whole heck of a lot. Now, granted, if you did buy 40 short stories, Empire Strikes Back, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not done with this selfless plug. You can order your copy right now on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. If you got this, you're spending a lot of time with this time period as well.
Such a great book.
Setting it up. It is a great book. You're spending a lot of time with Empire Strikes Back, but this is after Empire Strikes Back, and I freaking love it. I don't want to get onto this tangent, but I did like the Trevorrow script element of his movie, that we would be going back to Coruscant. I think that's such a great planet to play on, because it has everything from the Jedi Temple, the Senate, Dex's Diner. You can just have a lot of fun on Coruscant. I know that, Marie, we are going to get the next Darth Vader issue after the new year. Greg Pak just doing a tremendous job on that. As 2020 wraps up, and we've got Arzu, myself, and Pete, everyone watching, We all are at various points of our love of Star Wars comics, but let's say we get some free time this holiday break. Okay. Can you tell me what's the comic, your favorite comic of 2020 that I should go out and buy at my local comic book shop this week and enjoy before the year 2021 starts? Do you have a favorite that you're just like, damn, I love going back to that story?
I have to be honest, in the 2020 is it? Whoa, sorry, my cat just.
Oh, hey, kitty cat. Lift him
up. So 2020's kind of run together in my head. So I'm a little unsure of but I think the ones I'm thinking about were 2019. So 2020 still had some fantastic comic books that came out. I definitely would say the current Darth Vader run. I know I'm like a broken record, but the current Darth Vader run, that if you are a prequel fan, a sequel fan, you will absolutely adore it. So I definitely suggest checking that out from the beginning.
Marie Wilson is with us on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. You can find her on Twitter. She's always there interacting, talking about the latest and greatest in Star Wars comics. Marie, I want to say from myself, all of us here, thank you for what you do for the website, what you do here for Beyond the Blast Doors Live. We've known each other for about 1.5 years now, almost 2 years, believe it or not. And I'm so glad we crossed paths. I'm so glad that you helped us get to episode 100. And I just hope you have just the greatest 2021. And I look forward to talking comics in the new year with you.
Woo!
Thank you, Marie. Awesome to see you.
Marie Wilson.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you soon, Marie. Marie Wilson. She is the best. I'm gonna get that lower third off of your chin, Pete.
It's okay. It's good.
She's
to
really
rest
great.
on.
I started getting in my feels real quick, and that was really strange. I just think it's so cool. Like, I understand that we are all in our living rooms right now talking Star Wars, and that means nothing to most people. But gosh, I remember where I was as a person in 2016, and like, it's just really cool to have these relationships over the course of time. And, you didn't see it in the opener, but, Pete's on Beyond the Blast Doors Live about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing for his fanfic. And then I was like, dude, we should do a show together. And he's like, fuck off. And then he goes and does his own show and then starts this really successful podcast. And he's like, okay, now I'm ready to come play. I'm like, all right, whatever.
I just wanted to make sure, I didn't want to let you down. I wanted to make sure I could do it, make sure all my equipment worked before
because this network operated before it was fully functional. Arzu, I met because Arzu comes on to Pete's show. So just think about that. Like, there's a series of events here that have to happen for us to meet. Like, I wouldn't meet Arzu any other way.
Yeah.
So I think it's super cool. And so the last bit of this show, and I don't know how long we're going to go. I know it's like almost like 10 till, and like, I'm sure Gilbert is annoyed with me because I'm late as always. And I'm sure Jesse's pissed off because he's been wanting to talk about The Mandalorian, comparing his cosplay to that of Boba Fett after being digested in the Sarlacc for 25 years. So what I'm really doing here is I'm setting up the fact that we're joined by some friends. And so those of you with us here for Beyond the Blast Doors Live episode 100, you're in for a treat. I'm really excited about it because we're bringing everybody on the show together, and it's really exciting. So joining us here on the live stream, first up, we have Mr. Jesse Buck. You know him as Mando Fury, an official member of the Mandalorian Mercs. Jesse, my friend, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How you guys doing today?
Woo, Jesse!
Jesse. Woo, yeah.
This is awkward. It's not awkward, but it's almost kind of like you're with your wife or your new girlfriend or your new boyfriend, and then it's like your Tinder hookup walks in, and you're like, are you supposed to be here? No, it's not like that at all. Super happy that I reached out to Jesse. I was like, hey man, like, it's episode 100. You need to be on this thing. Like, please, like, or if you're free, come join us. And he's like, only if we talk Boba Fett. And I looked at the headlines.
Definitely.
I looked at the headlines. I'm like, well, I guess we'll fit it in. I mean, there's a lot more we could talk about, but all right, fine. We'll talk Boba Fett. So this is really exciting. Everyone's like really excited in the live chat. This is really fun. All right. So now joining us, we have Mr. David Gilbert. David Gilbert is with us. David, how are you doing, sir?
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's great to be back.
Oh my God, your audio is butthole. Can you fix that? That was terrible. That was terrible. Hey, I'm gonna bring in.
I feel like it's the first time I was on the show with you.
Oh my God, you're such a jerk. Hey, we got Steve. Steve, alive. Look at Steve Hyman right now.
Oh my God. Hi. Wow, I'm still losing my shit over Gilbert's audio. It sounded like he was doing that on purpose, like he had a Garandan voice changer on over him.
Robot Gilbert.
You know,
Oh,
I made this joke. I don't think Arzu truly grasps how, you know, okay, so like, you know, in like chapter whatever it was when the Mandalorian was taped up by that Matt Calamari guy,
Yeah.
Arzu, that was Beyond the Blast Doors for the first 3 years. It was beaten and tattered. And yeah, sometimes it sounded like that. This one time we did a 25-minute interview with a Lego YouTuber, and there was echo the entire interview. And I just kept going. I didn't stop it. Could have. We kept going.
this one time we got an angry tweet from Janita Gavankar as well.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah, that was right. We'll talk about that in a bit. I think
Whose signed photo is right behind David there.
we hopefully, you know what, the relationship is still on the mend. Hey, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. I think we have David back.
I think David's back. Yeah.
David,
Is this a little bit better?
holy
Yes.
Christ, that's better.
Much better.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is super cool. So here's what's going on here. If you're just joining us here on Beyond the Blast Doors Live, that was freaking hysterical. That mess. Can we pull that back up? No, that's Stream Elements. There we go. A communications disruption couldn't mean only one thing: invasion.
Invasion.
We have a freaking invasion right now on the show. I can't tell you how happy and also this is not like 100 episodes. Let's celebrate David. This is 100 episodes. Let's celebrate this show. We had Jesse, Steve, myself. We scratched together cameras and cables and started this show in May of 2016. And now here we are in the end of 2020. And Arzu and Pete, we're on this. We're doing this show. There's Beyond the Blast Doors has gone from just a shitty YouTube show to like an okay YouTube show and a YouTube network, which is pretty cool. And I just, guys, can we just start with some more Mando talk? Is it okay with everyone if we just go back into the Mando?
Sure, but
Sure.
real quick, we need to discuss part 2 of building your own lightsaber hilt.
Oh no.
I still have a bag of parts from the Home Depot sitting in my closet with the receipt, and they will not take it back.
When we were trying to do YouTube content, so we wanted to be like a YouTube show, but also do like fun videos. We do this video where we go to Home Depot and we're going to learn how to make a lightsaber hilt under $20. So we went as far as going to Home Depot, laying all the pieces out on the table, but we never actually show you how to make the lightsaber hilt. So this video has been up on YouTube for 3 years now. And about once every 2.5 weeks, we get one new comment on there that's like, hey, it's been 3 years. Think you'll finish the lightsaber hilt, guys? And so there's some passionate people out there that really want us to finish this off.
I think you should.
You know, booyah. So that's the
Build
story
that
behind
lightsaber.
You know, I wanted a lightsaber hilt. And that's the one thing I asked of Jesse, and he couldn't follow through on that. I'm just kidding. Let's do this. We have a Mandalorian Merc on the show right now. So Jesse, I want to hear from you. How does that Beskar hold up after 25 years? How cool is that to see on live action? You're a big Boba fan.
Oh my God. So I've been saying it all along. He survived the Sarlacc pit. And it's the fans are really responsible for it, because I think the show just in general, it wouldn't be here without all the love and dedication from the expanded universe. I mean, even Thrawn is another perfect example of that too. We wouldn't have Thrawn like we do today without, that series of books.
When you guys, what's everyone's feeling about how that armor can, like, it can capture and store code like a computer? You know, like we got that stuff translated. And Jesse, you have that translation on you?
I can summarize it. I mean, it's really neat because it actually it says Boba Fett on there. You go down and it talks about Jango. But what's really the real Easter egg in there is it says Mareel, which is a really big tip of the hat to Jaster Mareel, who trained, was a true Mandalorian. It goes all the way back to the Mandalorian Civil Wars, which Boba actually mentions in the episode that his father fought in the Mandalorian Civil War, and It was just
one of like
really
80
nice.
Civil Wars they had.
Oh yeah.
But I think that goes to a point that Pete made earlier. This episode did so much with so little. The script wasn't that extensive, but you got so much of this lore, and I can't translate that language, but it was really cool to hear about. Oh, they mentioned I think the home planet of Django. They mentioned Django.
Conquered Dawn is mentioned in it, I believe, right?
Right.
Yep.
So like, I mean, I don't know, like, sure, Jesse's someone who's like really deep into that lore, but Pete, I'm kind of curious, like, I wanted to say, does that get your fanboy off? But like, does like that excite you when you get something like such a small Easter egg and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty cool.
I think that's the thing that Mandalorian has done best, arguably, is, you know, it has done a much better job than any other Star Wars of sort of winking at the fans who've invested time, money, effort into the fandom, right? And I always go back to it, and I'm not beating up on The Rise of Skywalker, but I always go back to just the simple thing of calling the Wayfinder a holocron. It would have made no difference to anybody, but it would have made a difference to those of us that know what a holocron is. You know, just simple things like that. And I feel like Filoni being a part of, not just a part, but one of the key elements to The Mandalorian is making sure that we're not missing these things, that these little things are happening and are really becoming a part of, you know, again, as I said, it's a payoff to Jesse. It's a payoff to people who've watched and seen and invested time and effort into this universe.
Arzu, you know, it's funny. I made a big deal about Dark Troopers a couple episodes, and we get those Dark Troopers in this episode. I'm kind of curious, did they function the way, because I'm trying to think about our conversation we had about it. Did they function the way you thought? Because I thought there was going to be a human inside those body parts, and they're robotic.
Yeah, they're exactly what I thought they were. I didn't think that he wanted Grogu for the Dark Troopers. I thought they were like, you know, empty Iron Man suits. Like, they did exactly what I thought they would. They're robot soldiers.
Yeah.
So,
that
okay,
look
so
Jaguars.
Like the Sentry soldiers that we saw in Rebels, Josh Mose picked that up as well. Was that if you watch, I want to say it's season 3, episode 9 of Rebels, there were Sentry soldiers, and they look actually identical to what we saw here, which is a very interesting connection.
So, Steve, like you and I, like we love old school LucasArts games. Like we have a lot of fun with that. When you see the Dark Troopers, is that something that you feel really pays off the 90s gamer fan, the EU fan? Like, were you able to celebrate and appreciate the fact that we had 4 Dark Troopers flying on screen?
It was pretty awesome from just seeing the same old, you know, stormtroopers going into battle, and at a point in the history of the galaxy where the Empire's kind of on their heels, and they don't really have that much manpower, so they have to adopt these alternate methods for combat, and deploying some advanced cybernetic soldiers like that definitely turns the tide into their favor, and it opens up a whole lot of avenues for storytelling and like how they were developed and all that.
Well, and isn't that interesting what Steve just alluded to, guys? Because I would have thought of the Dark Trooper as this advancement in military warfare for the Empire, or maybe it was salvaged from the Empire that this splinter of the Empire is using, led by Moff Gideon. But what if the Dark Troopers actually used out of desperation because of the fracture of the Empire? Do you think? What do you guys react to that? Pete, you're shaking your head a little bit. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's interesting. I think one of the things that maybe they're going to set up somehow is the creation of the First Order kidnapping children to create soldiers sort of arc, right? I mean, we know that from Finn that's what they did. They took kids of very young age, and so, you know, maybe they're trying the Dark Troopers and they fail, or maybe they're trying all these different things, and I think maybe that's what we're going to see throughout the rest of the Mandalorian. Because if you remember from the very beginning, Favreau and Filoni sort of hinted that the Mandalorian will show you how the First Order was set up in between Snoke's in a barrel and some of the other comments that we've seen. We're definitely headed toward the early formation of the First Order, and so I think there's that connection somehow.
This is about that time.
Yeah. Yep.
That time frame where they'd start taking children.
Yeah.
Well, we've got explanation for that already. Because I don't think it's cost efficient to make Dark Troopers to run your Empire, but it's a great way to keep the galaxy in line if you show up and take their kids. I think I can't remember what book it was. I feel like it's the Aftermath series where they keep going the Empire, not the Empire. Yeah, the Empire, because they still think they're the Empire. The Empire needs children. The Empire needs children. Like that's a reoccurring motif.
Yep.
I think it's Aftermath, but it could be
which is around this time frame.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's about 5 years. About 5 years after Return
around
of
the
the
same
Jedi.
time.
One more avenue that the Dark Troopers opens up is concerning the potential Jedi that Grogu may have contacted, and that's Kyle Katarn.
Oh, wow. Bam, drop the mic.
Yo, I'm down for it.
Well, anyone that wants an unknown character, he's an unknown in the current canon.
This is true. Yep.
But he's also what Finn should have been. Like that stormtrooper turned Jedi. He's literally what Finn should have been in the sequels, and this would be, I guess, a chance to kind of fix that.
Fascinating. Or at least get, I don't know about fixing, but at least now you can get that storyline.
Well, they fixed Finn with the Lego Holiday Special, right?
Yes, they did. That was fantastic. Yep.
That was a great special. I want to pivot real quick. So David, here's my thing. You know, you and I talk about how we love the expanse of Star Wars storytelling, especially with live action. I think season 2 shows a dramatic leap in the immersive experience compared to season 1 of The Mandalorian, especially when I see ships fly across screen. The ships behave a lot more consistent than what we see with the movie. So I'd just like to ask you, is that a similar experience that you have watching season 2? Do you feel like this story is stronger than season 1? How has it grown on you?
David, without a doubt, season 2 is a lot stronger to me, and I'm enjoying it wholeheartedly. I think it's fair to say that of the 6 of us on the screen right now, I'm probably the most casual of the Star Wars nerds. And I also am pretty wholeheartedly against things like bringing Darth Maul back to life and a lot of these things that you've dragged me kicking and screaming through with
Mace Windu theories,
with Mace Windu theories, with Rebels. So some of those things, it's taken me some time to go through and actually process and be able to grab a hold on. And the first season of the show really felt like it was just taking old Western movies and rehashing them in a 42-minute episode or 30-minute episode. But I really love, even I, as somebody more casual, am picking up all of these Easter eggs to other shows. And in fact, I think there's a lot more people out there who know more about Star Wars than they think they do, or are more interested, and they're getting hooked because of the popularity of this show. Tonight, I went and got a haircut. I think it looks nice. Thank you much. And when I was sitting in the salon, somebody a couple rows down started talking about The Mandalorian and was shocked that the child now has a name. And somebody else a couple seats down said, no, don't say the name. I haven't watched it yet. You know, it's only been out for 2 weeks. But I think that this second season is really giving us solid stories. And I think it's giving us the little nuggets that's bringing us all back into Star Wars after the divisiveness that we've had between the Disney era movies, minus Rogue One, because that was dynamite, and even some of the stuff still lingering from 20 years ago with the prequels.
Go ahead.
I was going to add to that too, David, is you mentioned a couple times tonight, and I think you're right that the ships, the effects, everything looks better, and I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that they aren't making a Star Wars movie right now, so they have access to the full ILM Star Wars team, and they're able to put that extra effort into it because I think maybe one of my all-time favorite Star Wars shots, well, there's a handful of them. One was, of course, the Falcon on Jakku. I thought that was an amazing chase scene, but watching Slave One fly across the sky, make its little turnaround backwards landing on Tython, that may be one of my favorite spaceship shots in all of Star Wars, and it was on a television show.
Chills.
So, yeah.
It was real quick. I'm gonna go. I'll name drop you, but real quick, when Slave One appears on that screen, that flying shot, and it's like hard to catch because it's going in between the stones the way it was shot.
Yep.
What was your Arzu? What was your reaction to that scene
when the Slave One pulled up?
Yeah.
I was like, for a second, I'm like, do I know that ship? And then I went, oh, that's Boba's ship. Like, it took me a second. But
Pete?
It's one of the few ships I do recognize offhand. So.
Pete, what was your reaction when you saw that baby cruising?
I had a feeling Boba Fett was coming back because of the previously on section, but I did not expect Slave One, and I was excited to see Slave One as I was devastated to see Razor Crest go.
I got to know, Jesse, when you see Boba Fett happen, do your pants drop? I mean, what happens when you see the Slave One?
Well, I was in an unfortunate smelting accident with some Beskar.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! The thing is I have this weekly.
Oh my god! I just got that joke. That was disgusting. Can you just give me your damn reaction?
So I have this weekly ritual. I fight with myself. Do I stay up till 2 a.m. to watch the new episode, or do I get up? Because I usually work, Friday. So do I get up early, or do I stay up late? My initial watching is always I'm laying in bed and I watch it on my phone with the Disney Plus app, mainly because I don't want the spoil. I don't want to get hit with spoilers on Twitter or anything.
So you see the Slave One come across screen.
But yeah, I'm laying there and like. I was trying to contain myself because I've got neighbors now, and it's just it's just like, oh man, like I don't want to disturb anybody about it, but it was on my mind all day, and like as soon as I got home, I mean the TV went on. I think I watched it probably 3 or 4 times, and I have to agree with Pete. There was just something about seeing Slave One just flying through the sky, and you don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Jesse, I don't give a rip about your neighbors. You should have absolutely beaten your freaking chest. I'm a little let down by your reaction. I want you to make something up, and I'm going to ask you later. I want to ask you a story that you made up. I want to know, Steve, your quick reaction to that Slave One. I feel like you will.
Well, upon first glance, obvious chills, because I was waiting for it, and as soon as you see that, you're like, oh, this is that episode. And then when it turns around to come in for the landing, my thought immediately went to, wow, that's pretty smooth for this many years later.
Right?
It looked a little unnatural, that landing. I always thought it kind of like hovered and then flipped around, but like flipping midair to go downwards, that was a little off-putting to me, but I was still just overwhelmed by the sheer joy of it that I didn't care.
If we're talking about art, I think it's the Mona Lisa, and then it's the Slave One from The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 14. I think it was that damn good, okay? And that's the right answer. David, you and I mean, we kind of touched about it all already, but, like, you approve of the Slave One. That ship showing up, it looked good to you.
I think every ship has looked great. I think almost every shot in this has just been stellar for the entirety of the second season.
The volume... I wonder if there was like an update, like a system update that they ran. I just think, I think everything looks better. And I know it's right now, it's 10:08. So we've gone over on our time a little bit, and I'm going to see if this is a topic that will allow us a little bit more time, because I'm in my fields and I think it's a lot of fun to be talking Star Wars with all you guys. It's something that David alluded to that I think is really fascinating. The fact that the child's name is Grogu. And we have all 6 of us in this moment. So I just kind of want to have like an open, just make a statement here from like a marketing standpoint, from like reaching a casual fan, like David has mentioned that he is a casual fan. Is it better for Grogu to be Grogu, or should the child have stayed the child? Arzu, you spoke right up. What do you think?
Grogu's better only because like the number of people I know, from more diehard fans to casual fans, who have immediately switched from Baby Yoda to nobody was using the child. Like, let's not delude ourselves. Nobody was calling him the child.
I was.
Baby Yoda.
Hashtag. There was a hashtag with the emoji, and
but that's like an official marketing hashtag because that's what they want you to say. But not a single person was actually saying the child.
Well,
unless they were like, well, except for you, David. But like, you're really trying to like stick to the official narrative. But like, realistically, in conversation, it's Baby Yoda. Or like some variation of like a cutesy nickname for a baby.
Right.
But I think giving him a name, like the switch has been almost immediate for like a lot of people, because it's like we have something to call him now. It was Baby Yoda because the child was like I don't know. It wasn't catchy. It didn't take, but
Okay.
in the way that I think Grogu did.
Oh wait, it didn't take.
It didn't. The child did not take.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sounded
Name
too
a single-
Baby Yoda, I agree
Name
with.
a single casual fan who actually went around calling him the child and not Baby Yoda. Really, David? Really?
David, speak. David, speak. Why?
It didn't sound cute enough for the character.
I mean, no, it didn't sound cute enough for the character, but that's the character's name. So that's what you call it. You call it the character's name. So I call it the child because that's its name.
But now, do you call it Grogu?
Yes, I do. Well, not for another week or so. Amongst those I know that have seen the episode, I call it Grogu.
Monday
For
is
those
the
who've not, I
spoiler
still
time. It's
refer to
okay.
it as the
It's too late.
right. I don't want to be that guy. But no, I get 100% what you're saying, that everybody calls this creature Baby Yoda. But I mean, to me personally, it's basically a repackaged Gizmo from the Gremlins movies, like almost exactly. So I think there's already some sort of connection there that kind of looks like a baby to begin with. And in the Star Wars universe, we've only seen two other characters of this species, Yoda and Yaddle. To me, I was a little disappointed they gave it a name beginning with the letter G instead of the letter Y, but you know,
I think it would have been
also like-
weirder if they gave it the letter Y, because like
Yoda
Yoda and
might have
Yaddle
been.
like know each other. Maybe it's like a generational thing. Maybe those are like their Jedi names.
Yaddle
but
felt like a very
then
lazy
there's
name.
Yeah. Yaddle sounds like a Yoda spinoff, but if his name started with a Y, then it's like, okay, what goes on with their species that they can only start their names with Y, and then that opens a bigger question.
Man.
This is the way.
I can't.
There are a lot
I,
of things about that species we don't know yet.
oh, there's everything, like everything, other than the fact that they're green and they're small and they have big ears. We don't know that they're all force, sensitive and all that. I'm amazed at how quickly Grogu has become part of the vernacular. I mean, I only call him Grogu now. My son only calls him Grogu. We both call our new dog Grogu, and that really pisses off my daughter. But for some reason, I don't know why, but I just feel like it feels like a perfect name for him. It just seems to fit. And frankly, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was introduced by Ahsoka and the way Rosario Dawson played Ahsoka as Ahsoka-y as you possibly can. I still think, I said it last week, I'll say it again, the way she folded her arms, and the way, my favorite line from her is just the way she just says Grogu to him when he's calling him the kid. She says to Din, Grogu. That is something that animated Ahsoka would have done, and it sunk it into my brain. I can't call him anything else now.
I think that I think live action Ahsoka did a lot for a lot of Star Wars fans, whether they were diehards or casual. There's a presence that character graces where, and maybe this is just an overinvestment on my part, guys, but I hope you allow it for me. It's like, it's going to be okay when Ahsoka's there. Ahsoka can go and slaughter some guards carelessly. She can, go take down the magistrate. She can do whatever she wants, but there's like this comfort when I see, when I see Ahsoka on screen, it's like, I know that this is about to be a really powerful moment. I think Ahsoka is a character that's used really wisely. And I think I honestly, Pete, I will tell you this. I think you're right. The reason why I've personally accepted Grogu so much, and I just said it so much, was because of that exchange in that prior episode with Ahsoka. I think that's a really cool observation, and that's probably why it's for me. Okay, so let's flip this. We have a resident casual fan here, the fan that doesn't care enough to learn more about Star Wars. Gilbert, did you enjoy Ahsoka's transition live action? Did you feel like it was a powerful moment with Rosario Dawson's portrayal?
Yes. If I were to give any critique to that episode, some of the acrobatics felt a little clunky to me. But I thought the plot of how they reintroduced her, I thought that her mission to figure out where Thrawn was great. I thought her interactions and I'd almost describe it as friendly hostility towards the Mandalorian was great. Her attitude towards not training a Jedi, a youngling who is not ready, who's got the fear. I thought that was very true to character. To me, it was great. To me, it was a lovely little tidbit. My first exposure to Ahsoka was terrible. It was with the Clone Wars movie. I'd never seen an episode of the show. I'm like, this is stupid. Then David had me over one night for liquor, and we binge watched almost the entire first season.
Cuddling.
I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why people like Ahsoka. So to me, it was really awesome being able to see her there. And my biggest complaint with Disney Star Wars is that there's not enough lightsabers and Jedi. So even when they give us little tiny bits of it, like they did with her, and they make those moments powerful, I'm very, very happy with that, because it reminds me that we are in the Star Wars universe with the space wizards, with that legacy. And that's really what binds us all and reminds me of why I absolutely love this universe.
I think that was really well said. Pete, did you have a thought?
Yeah, no, I would have. I'm not going to argue just for the sake of arguing, but I think that's one of the things that makes Disney Star Wars so great, is that when we do have lightsabers, it pays off. If you think about it, in the original trilogy, there was very little time with lightsaber fights. It was the prequels that gave us all the nonstop lightsaber action, and so I don't disagree that we don't have as much. I mean, even you could argue the sequel trilogy was missing it greatly, but I think when it happens, it has more weight and it's got more gravitas as a result.
Fam, I really want to keep this conversation going because it's so great to catch up, but I'm getting a notification that our time together is going to end one way or not, because as anything with Beyond the Blast Doors Live, the battery is running low. So I'm going to say this. I love all you all so much. And you know what? I'm going to throw it out there right now. I want to do another one of these shows. Hell, maybe it's the next one. I don't know. But there's so much. I want to talk with Jesse more about the Mandalorian lore that we got. I want to talk with Steve more about, we get all these great cameos in this season. And do those cameos hijack the series from the Mandalorian? These are all things that I want to explore so much. I really appreciate everyone making time tonight to join episode 100 of Beyond the Blast Doors. Real quick, I'll go around. I'll give everyone like 15 seconds. Your closing thoughts
before the batteries die.
Before the batteries die, Pete Fletcher, your closing thought.
It's so great to be on with David and Jesse again. That was my first exposure to Beyond the Blast Doors, and so good to see you guys. I'm glad we keep up with each other on social media. Great to see you, and thank you for being a part of what's kicked off just a great time and a great experience for me.
Steve Hyman.
I am so happy to see where this show has gone in the past 100 episodes since we first came up with this idea, and I'm happy to finally be on it. It only took 100 episodes.
Well, that felt like a real big middle finger.
We'll see you in another 100, Steve.
Okay, episode 200. I'll be ready.
Oh,
you know how to reach me.
Yeah, I know how to reach you. I'll find you at some con, like hanging out with some Twi'lek or something.
I miss cons. Don't talk about it.
Arzu, I'm really glad you're here, and I'm really thankful that you tolerate my humor sometimes. What you got? 15 seconds. What do you want to say?
Well, I'm the newest person here, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have met all of you, and I guess here's to 100 more episodes.
Oh God, here's hoping. That'd be so cool. 100 more. David Gilbert, you got 15 seconds.
David, congratulations on 100. I remember when you came to me and said, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. You were hanging out in my apartment. I'm like,
Drunk
cool,
again.
do you want help? And you're like, yeah, I do. And it finally took to like the fourth episode before I finally caved and said, yeah, I'll hop on and be the third person. But I mean, just sitting here watching you guys tonight, the production quality outside of my audio has been stellar. Watching, I mean, just everything is so much cleaner than sitting there trying to record it and edit it, and Jesse and I making fun of you for all of our screw ups, you making fun of us for not having our microphones on. I mean, top notch. Congratulations to all of you and to the show as well.
I like your Christmas tree, you jerk. Who did I miss? Did I miss anybody? I think we all did it. No, wait, Jesse. I saved the best for last. Jesse, you got 15 seconds, buddy. What do you want to say?
Oh, definitely congrats on 100 episodes. I remember this being but a brainstorm in the frame shop at a Hobby Lobby years ago. I'm
such a whore.
But I remember that conversation, that day. I mean, I think we talked for maybe probably two hours. So I would love to get on here again, and definitely there's tons to talk about with this show, and it's just phenomenal to see everybody. It's tough times, and it's just good to interact with everyone.
Yeah, it's cool. I think that's exactly it. It's we need the human interaction, and this is how we can do it. And I want to do that more. And To be fair, if you watch the very beginning of this episode, the reason why there was no video for episode 1 of Beyond the Blast Doors Live is because I didn't remove the lens cap. I looked at the camera for an hour and 13 minutes, and I did not recognize that there was a lens cap.
Was that with my camera?
You've come a long way, David.
Yeah, Steve, it was with your camera.
I was looking at it too, so don't feel too bad.
Listen, like this is just wild. The live, this is so cool. I'm gonna rip through these real quick. Sam Carey, great show, everyone. Cheers to 100 more episodes. Paul Collectibles, great fun stream, guys. Thanks, Matthew. Congrats on 100. Here's 100 more. Scotty, you are welcome for me because I'm the most important. Wait,
that's true. No, it's true. Scotty's right. He is the most important.
Thanks for all you guys do. 100 episodes. The love fest in here is really cool. Yeah, JD, I agree. All Star Wars is special. It's been really fun, and I think that we can't end this one without saying thank you to you for watching, for listening. You had to put up with all those tech issues. You had to pull up with the random schedule. One time we put a show up on a Thursday. The next episode was like 3 months later. There was a sabbatical. I had to go to Rome. I had to talk to the Pope. I needed enlightenment. And I guess I got it because here we are again. But it just, the show means so much to me for so many different reasons. And I'm always going to be most thankful. And again, if this had to stop tomorrow, or if the battery dies on me in 38 seconds, it's always going to be the people that I got to meet. Some really cool memories. Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. Going to Home Depot trying to build a lightsaber that never freaking happened. Getting to start. Getting the show to go live. Meeting Arzu, Pete, David, Jesse. Steve and I went to college together. To have this passion project has been really cool. And, is it flawless? No. Do we have a good time? I think so. And so if this is what we've done in 100 episodes, I can't wait to see what we do in the next 100. And I really hope that you join us for that adventure because we're all going to be here no matter what. So you can either watch or don't, but we're going to still be here having a great time. It's really special. I think what's so powerful about the Star Wars story is not so much the story anymore, but it's the people that we get to share it with. And so to echo something Jesse said, this year has been kind of tough. Pandemic sucks. I live in Iowa. There was a derecho, which was 145-mile-hour winds ripping through my home for 45 minutes. Like this year sucked for a lot of people, but I think that they're still good. I got to marry my wife. I still got to see friends and my family. They're healthy, and hopefully your family is healthy too. So I think it's really important that we celebrate the moments we have, the people that we get to share them with, and the moments ahead of us. And I think if we do that, we're going to finish off 2020 and make 2021 a banger. And I hope that involves Beyond the Blast Doors. And I hope that means we get to talk more Star Wars together. I'm going to be done talking. I think it's been great. I think you're beautiful. It's just one of those things, guys. It's Beyond the Blast Doors Live. It was episode 100. There was a lot of buildup. Actually, there was like no buildup at all. In fact, I threw this a lot together in the last 24 hours. But you know what? I mean every word that I said, and we all appreciate it. There's more Star Wars in the future here on Beyond the Blast Doors. It's going to be great. Streaming Star Wars this Friday. We're doing a call-in show too. It's going to be great. Pete's going to be there. I might be there. Maybe we'll get Jesse or Steve back there. Who the hell knows at this point? You know what? We appreciate you. Here's to 100 more, everybody.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.